In this video, we're going to explain why we need you to complete a trainer-assessor profile, the requirements to demonstrate your training and assessment competency and currency, and the requirements to demonstrate your vocational competency and industry currency. In this section, we will explain why we need you to complete a trainer-assessor profile. The training laws set out certain legal requirements for a person to be able to deliver nationally recognised training and assessment on behalf of an RTO. Therefore, before you can train and assess on behalf of performance training, we need you to show us that you are qualified, and so we will ask you to complete a trainer profile which has two parts. Part A relates to your training and assessment qualifications and currency, and Part B relates to your vocational qualifications and currency. You can send us this information by email or by uploading it onto our online portal. After we receive your profile, we will review it and take steps to authenticate your skills and experience. Once we have approved of your profile, we will update our current TAS documents to highlight in green the units of competency that you are authorised to deliver. Remember that you are not authorised to train and assess a unit until you have signed on to the TAS, and you are only authorised to deliver the units indicated in green on the TAS. If you think the TAS is incorrect, please let us know so that we can check it out. In this section, we will explain the requirements to demonstrate your training and assessing competency and currency. In some ways, being a trainer or assessor is like being a statutory ticket holder in a Queensland coal mine. To be an ERZ controller in Queensland, you would need a deputy's ticket. There is quite a lot which goes into getting a deputy's ticket, and until recently, you could rely on that ticket to get a deputy's job for the rest of your life. However, nowadays the Queensland laws require you to also have a practicing certificate and to participate in the practicing certificate scheme. So, whereas the deputy's ticket is yours for life, a practicing certificate must be renewed every 5 years, and to do that you have to participate in continuing professional development, CPD, and complete a certain number of hours of professional development each year. The logic behind this new scheme is that whilst the deputy's ticket proves that you are competent, the practicing certificate proves that you have currency of your knowledge and skills. The reasoning behind demonstrating currency is that industry, laws, practices and safety standards are continually changing, and so it's important that mines deputies have kept up to date with the current standards. A similar concept exists for trainers and assessors who deliver nationally recognised training on behalf of RTOs. However, the training laws have a slightly different way of demonstrating competency and currency. Rather than having a ticket issued for life that proves competency and then a formalised professional development scheme with CPD hours, the training laws instead ask people to demonstrate currency by holding the current version of the training and assessment qualification, or its equivalent, and then documenting their annual professional development in both training and assessment. To break this down, firstly, you need to demonstrate that you have the current TAE, and there are 4 options for you to prove this. Option 1 is to hold the current Certificate 4 in Training and Assessment qualification, TAE 40122. Option 2 is to hold the previous Certificate 4 in Training and Assessment qualification, TAE 40116. Option 3 is to hold the older version of the Certificate 4, which is TAE 40110, plus one of these LL&N units and one of these Develop Assessment Tool units. Option 4 is to hold a diploma or higher level qualification in adult education. You can prove that you hold option 1, 2, 3 or 4 by providing us with the following. A, by giving us a copy of the qualification that was issued by the RTO, remember to include a list of the units. Or B, by giving us an authenticated vet transcript from the USI registry. Authenticated vet transcripts are available for all training that has been completed since January 2015. They are a document that you can download from the USI registry. When you send it to us, we can click on the verification link to verify that your qualification is authentic. You can get a vet transcript very easily by going to the USI website at usi.gov.au. You will need to know your USI number when you log in. If you can't remember your USI number, use the Find My USI function on the website, or you can call the USI registry for help. In addition to demonstrating that you have your TAE qualification, you must also show us that you have participated in annual professional development for training and assessment. There are all kinds of professional development courses relating to training and assessment. A number of organisations provide this training, and you could find more by doing a Google search. It is important that number one, you document your professional development by either giving us receipts or by writing a summary of the events that you attended, and two, that you demonstrate professional development in both training and assessment. Your trainer and assessor profile will not pass a federal audit if you have only professional development in training or if you have only professional development in assessment. So that is what is required to be a trainer assessor in almost any discipline. Whether you were training someone to fix a car, put out a fire in an underground coal mine, or type a letter, you must have competency and currency in training and assessment. In this section, we will explain the requirements to demonstrate your vocational competency and industry currency. It stands to reason that if you are going to train or assess a particular unit, then you need to demonstrate that you are competent at that unit, that you are sufficiently experienced in that area of work, and that you have stayed up to date with your knowledge and skills. There are three ways that you can demonstrate vocational competence for a unit. By far the easiest thing to do is give us a statement of attainment or vet transcript for that unit. You give us the document, we verify that it is authentic, and it's that easy. Option 2 is to hold an equivalent unit. To check if a unit is equivalent, go to training.gov.au. Click on Nationally Recognised Training, type in the name or code of the unit, look for the current unit and click on it. In this example, for road crash rescue, you can see that it is equivalent to a prior unit with a slightly different code. So therefore, to deliver the road crash rescue unit, you could hold either of these two units and still deliver the training. Option 3 is a little more involved. If you were to hold a similar unit but it's not equivalent to the one being delivered, then you would need to provide us with your statement of attainment or vet transcript for the similar unit, and then a mapping document for the new unit which demonstrates how you are vocationally competent in the gaps, the parts of the new unit which were not in the unit that you did. For an example of how this mapping process works, let's look at the road crash rescue unit. Let's imagine that they release a new version of the road crash rescue unit which has all the same things as the previous unit, but the new unit also has a requirement to use and clean a particular type of equipment called a widget. You would need to provide us with your statement of attainment or vet transcript for the old unit, and then a mapping document showing that you have sufficient experience in using and cleaning widgets in road crash rescue. That experience needs to be broad, because if you're going to be training people in how to use widgets, then you would need to know the ins and outs of widgets, and you would need to have stayed up to date in the latest industry trends relating to widgets. So that's demonstrating vocational competence. You also need to demonstrate that you have sufficient experience in what you are training. To demonstrate that you have sufficient experience, you need to give us a copy of your resume. Include a list of jobs and skills that you have carried out in those jobs which are relevant to the areas that you are training. Make sure that you state how long you worked in a position, for example, 3 years. We are required to verify the information you give, so make sure you include 2 referees who we can contact to confirm your experience. In addition to showing that you have experience, you will need to show currency, which is how you stayed up to date with industry trends. Examples of how you could do this include site inductions at mine sites or job sites if you work in civil construction. List out the SOPs that you covered which relate to the areas that you are training. Attending conferences. Keep a record of the presentations you attended which relate to the areas that you are training. Attending in-house professional development conducted by your company. Keep a record of the in-house professional development you have done which relates to the areas that you are training. External training courses conducted by other companies. Keep a record of the courses you do which relate to the areas that you are training. And of course, working part-time in the industry, keep a record of the tasks that you have done that relate to the areas you are training. Another way in which you might document currency of industry skills is by keeping a list of publications and podcasts that you subscribe to. Make sure that you show how all of these activities relate to the areas that you are training and assessing. In this video, you have learned that we need to approve of your trainer assessor profile before you will be listed on the TAS as authorised to deliver training or assessment in a unit. You must provide us with the following. Number 1, a copy of your training and assessment qualification. Provide us either with your certificate and the list of units that was issued by the RTO, or provide us with a vet transcript from the USI registry. Number 2, evidence that you have completed recent professional development for both training and assessment. Number 3, copies of your statements of attainment or vet transcripts for each unit that you are training and assessing, and if the unit is not listed as equivalent on training.gov.au, then you also need to give us a mapping document showing us how you were competent at any gaps in the unit. Number 4, a copy of your resume showing that you have real-world experience in the areas you are training and assessing. Your resume must include 2 referees we can contact to verify your experience. And number 5, evidence of how you have stayed up to date with industry trends in the areas that you are training and assessing. You can send us this information by email or by uploading it onto our online portal. And as always, if you have questions about trainer assessor profiles, please contact us directly.